Come on in.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name's Richard. I'm here for the job interview.
Hello, Richard. I'm Jimmy Beam. I'm the hiring
Nice to
manager.
meet you, Jimmy.
Donald, I'm the store manager here.
Donald.
Jean-Philippe.
Stay plaisir, John.
How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. The weather's a little bit rough, but
Yeah.
it was a very smooth drive in.
That's good to
Yeah,
hear.
that's good to hear. Good to hear.
So, I mean, this will be a standard interview. We'll ask you some questions. We'll
Okay.
talk about the position, the resume, and then at the end you can give us any concerns or questions you may have with the job.
Perfect.
Just stay relaxed, act naturally, just be yourself. We're really here to see who you are as a person.
So, I guess we may as well start off with just tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, currently I'm 45 years old. I have two sons that I am raising by myself. One's 16. He's just like I was back in the day. He's the captain of his high school football team.
Oh, nice.
And I have a little 11-year-old boy who's turning into quite the little troublemaker. So yeah, it's going pretty well.
Teenage years got it cut out for you
Oh, yeah.
over the next
Oh,
few
yeah.
years.
We'll try and make the next few years as easy as possible.
Okay, awesome.
So I guess maybe switching more to the actual job and position. Just what makes you feel that you're a good fit for the position and the best candidate that we could hire?
Okay. What I can say is over the last decade or so, I have been the human resource and finance lead at a small mining company called Diamond Mining Inc. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a very local mining company that started off in the early 2000s, but I have been there and I had to leave for personal reasons, and yeah, that's it. I feel like I have the proper qualifications given the fact that I do have an MBA from the University of Toronto's School of Business, where I also did my bachelor's degree. So yeah.
Did you enjoy your time at school in Toronto? Or?
It was quite different given the fact that I grew up in such a rural area. I was one of the only kids out of my graduating class to ever even go to post-secondary school out of town. So it was a pretty big step.
Big city too.
Yeah.
Traffic stuff there.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Of course. So I don't mean to poke and prod or anything, but do you want to give us a little insight on maybe why you left your former position? I know you mentioned personal reasons, but is there anything you can really delve into about that?
I did not get along well with some of my coworkers, given the fact that they had certain underlying mental health issues. So I can't really get into it more, but that's the gist of what happened.
Of course.
Not everyone gets along. We understand that. You got to do the best for you.
Exactly.
Would you say it was a mutual departure? Like
Absolutely. I left completely voluntarily. My former superior, he would give me a glowing letter of recommendation.
Perfect to hear.
So at this Diamond Mining Incorporated, I see you were in charge of HR and finance.
Yep.
So as someone who you have to be a leader as
Yes.
you're a boss of other employees and coworkers. So could you describe what you think makes a strong leader, and do you think that you are a strong leader yourself?
I personally do believe that I am a strong leader, given my long experience within the force. But a strong leader to me is somebody that doesn't just achieve the goal, but it brings everyone together and realize what the goal is and everything around that. So,
All right. Thank you.
Good to hear. So I see on your resume here you're from out of town.
Yeah.
What sort of timeline would you need to relocate? And do you think that there would be any overlooked or unexpected barriers that we would have to jump in order to get you here and started?
Since my kids are pretty well established, I would need a couple of weeks for them, either once they get out of school, so that we can just pack up and go. But other than that, I'd be able to start as soon as the school year ends.
Okay, we're looking to get someone in the position within 6 weeks, 2 months around that timeline.
I could be completely relocated by then.
And
Okay.
we're all from around here, so if you need help with anything,
Yeah.
we can
Awesome.
help you with
We all-
schools, getting to know the area, anything like that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
any sort of issues, don't hesitate to ask any of us.
Awesome.
And then just a bit more into the position. So because ethics are always changing in society, things are constantly alternating, what's okay, what's not. How can you as an HR manager adapt to the changing workplace and policies and also make that process easier for your employees?
I believe that social media does have a huge presence on not values, but sort of giving people awareness.
Yep.
So I feel like if people see a lot of stuff on social media, and so do I am more likely to implement something, a certain process or a different way of doing things, given that. So I could see myself having weekly updates with my team, and we would be able to discuss certain topics to make sure everybody would feel included and not offended or anything.
Okay, so just sort of building a team mentality.
Yes, of course.
Gotcha.
So now we'll transition to a little bit more of a kind of situational approach to these questions. And first I got to ask you, if an employee were to approach you with a serious complaint about the conduct of their coworker, what would be your first instinct and how would you react?
My first instinct would be to keep the customer as happy as possible. Obviously, that's every store's value. But the first step for me would be to pull all the employees that were involved in a certain situation, anybody that had seen anything, speak to them individually to try and grasp everything that had occurred, and if need be, not discipline, but certainly talk to and advise that employee if he did do something wrong and how he could change his behavior in that sort of way.
Alrighty.
Piggybacking on that, so clearly your first instinct, it's a good instinct, I like that. But have you ever had any experiences at your old workplace where you had to, resolve a situation or even maybe discipline, and how did you approach that?
There's certain things that I am bound by a non-disclosure agreement.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
there is some stuff that I can talk about, and there was one incident where an employee had said some very hurtful things to another employee, and they had filed multiple complaints. So we ended up having to terminate that employee, but there had been many, many warnings and many sit-down talks to approach the offender. And
Yeah.
so I believe in multiple steps to
Perfect.
that lead up to termination.
I agree.
Yeah, no one's perfect.
Yeah.
But give a warning.
So with this position, you're going to be the store human resource manager.
Mhm.
So if there's a problem, you're one of the top guys. Or if we have like a customer has a problem, or if there's something going on between employees, you may have to deal with it.
Okay.
So I would like to ask you. I've seen you worked at saw on your resume that you worked at Metro.
Yes.
Is that your only history with customer service? And can you tell us about a time when you had to deal with an unhappy customer? What was their problem, and how did you deal with what they were upset
Okay.
about?
So I'll give you guys a little bit of a backstory on the Metro grocery store. Was my first high school job, and I had ended up working all the way to assistant store manager, which was
Very
pretty
impressive.
good at the time.
Impressive.
And I'd been through a lot of situations with unhappy customers, this and that. We always valued that the customer should always remain as happy and have as pleasant of an experience as possible. So when we'd have a displeasant customer, say if it was an employee infraction, we would have to deal with that employee separately and just continue to make the customer happy. But there had been some times where we'd have some very unpleasant interactions that were dealt with pretty easily.
Right, I think that's about what we think. The customer's always right, whether they are or not.
Absolutely.
They should feel at the right and that we're listening to their problems.
At the end of the day, the customer will always come first. That's our policy, and I'm pretty sure that's everybody else's policy. So
Absolutely.
nothing new here.
I'm just gonna jump in. I know you like to sort of go in after Ty there. So let's say a customer dropped a can of paint or something, broke something. Our store policy here, mistakes happen.
Yep.
We'll call for someone to clean it up. Just let them know it's not. We're not going to charge them for it. Mistakes happen. So we're not you know, you break it, you buy it type of company.
Of course.
Everyone makes mistakes. So just want to let you know what our philosophy is on that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. One last situational question for you here.
Okay.
This one really pertains to definitely our work and what we do within the building, but maybe not so much to your specific duties. So
Okay.
let's say you're walking through the warehouse on your way, I don't know, let's say to lunch, for example. So you're off duty, you're heading to lunch.
Okay.
And you see a customer that's struggling to lift some heavy lumber. What would be your instinct?
My first instinct, I would evidently approach the customer, offer my aid. In addition to that, I would call upon other employees as well. Say like they are lifting heavy sheets of plywood, I would call for assistance as well, and I would give up my own time to also help out.
Perfect.
So that they got the proper assistance required to their stuff.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Pretty good answer. And then just sort of some hypothetical questions so we
Okay.
can sort of dig into some more about you outside of the workplace and sort of who you are as a person. It's a bit of a weird one. What would you say is the messiest room in your house?
At the moment, that's a tough one. I mean, we are 3 guys living in a house, so
Yeah.
it
I'm
is
not,
what it is.
I'm not the cleanest guy. I'm willing to
It
admit
is what it
that.
is. But I'd have to say my man cave.
Yeah.
Because like every Friday, me and a couple of guys, we do get together, do watch the Sunday football game.
Oh, nice. I'm
So-
gonna have to show up one of these
Yeah,
days.
for sure. If I have one set up in my new place,
Yeah.
if I do end up getting this position, I will definitely create a new man cave and have you guys over for that. Of course.
Fantastic.
But yeah, it's definitely my man cave.
Perfect.
All right, just another one of those types of questions. What are 3 ways that you could use a brick that's not for like building?
3 ways I could use a brick. I can say that you can use a brick. Do cinder blocks count? Because
Yeah, well, I'll say cinder
it's
blocks. Yeah,
anything. Okay. Well, you could use cinder blocks. Say you are jacking up your car to change the tire. You don't leave it on the jack. You have to put it on a jack stand. But if you don't have a jack stand, you could use the cinder block to get yourself a stable support. That way, you're not working on something under suspension. Another thing could be building a fireplace with a brick. To me,
Very
Like
classic.
building
Yeah.
like the
a
outside.
nice
Yeah.
fireplace. Yeah, that would be cool. The third would be to use. I said previously, I do really enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah.
So I actually use a brick for some of my sink weights for fishing.
Oh,
So I'd
okay.
set up a net. Since I am of Indigenous heritage, I do have my status card, which allows me to fish with nets.
Mhm.
I do use bricks to hold my nets down to the bottom, and then some buoys to float them to the top.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. I didn't know that was a strategy that was common.
absolutely.
No, that's
absolutely.
very interesting. So that's it for our questions. Do you have any questions to ask us?
I do have a few here.
Alrighty.
What does it take for somebody to succeed in this position?
Awesome.
Because I am looking, if I do end up retaining this position,
Mhm.
I would like to succeed as best as I possibly can and please the workers and keep the customers happy.
So I guess I'll start
Okay.
off, and if any of
Alright.
you want to add anything. You're going to be looking over people, like you're going to be people's bosses. So we need you to be organized. You have to make schedules. So we need you to be able to stay on top of that every week. Be able to look at past schedules, past schedules if you need to adjust or change anything. You have to have strong interpersonal skills because you'll be interacting with our employees and not just like passing, hey, how are you? Like if they have a problem, they're going to be coming to you. So you need to be able
Absolutely.
to deal with conflict with multiple employees and be able to stay calm and be rational and allow them to act rationally. And that's the same with, might have to deal with customers. So
Yep.
you need to make them feel like they're valued and like that Home Depot wants them in there. And then as well, just be a role model. Like you have,
Perfect.
whether it's someone that has their first job starting at 18 or an assistant manager looking to gain some more knowledge. Just be a role model to them, show them what it looks like to come into work every day, to work hard, to be dedicated, to
Awesome.
care about your job. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, I think everything's been touched upon there.
Perfect.
Alrighty.
Another question that I had is, what is the likelihood of advancement within Home Depot? Because I know that it is not owner operated or franchised. It is a complete corporate company, and eventually further down the line, I am trying to work my way up. And I know I might be 45 years old, but I am still young and full of ambition.
Yeah, of course. We love someone who has goals. I don't know if anyone wants to speak on it. I'll take the lead on this one. You'll go as far as you want to go. I'll say that. I started working in the warehouse, specifically with lumber. I was just moving lumber using a jack for like 8 hours on a weekend in between my classes. You can go as far as you want. As far as making it a corporate, if you show up every day and you meet the expectations that we've laid out, I guarantee you any of us will be willing to write you just a resounding letter to sort of get into one of those roles.
We're not here to keep you at the store. We're here to see you advance.
Awesome.
Yeah, ultimately, we wish to see you succeed. Based off my general consensus of you and your qualifications and whatnot, you're definitely qualified for this position, and I'll be honest, you'll succeed.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate your time and consideration for this position, and I really hope to see you guys in the future and to work with each and every one of you up close and personal.
Perfect. Thank you for coming out.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure.
Thank
you.
We'll let you know within a week if what our decision is.
Yeah,
Awesome.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you very much.